This week on Hazardous Materials, last week's comics this week, we're cruising for Strange with DC and Marvel. The Flash gets good again. Superman villains. Surprisingly, not that many villains. I give you the 10-minute indie power hour, patented. Spider-Man Noir gets uncaged in Spider-Man Noir #1. And we've also got some set pictures from Marvel and DC alike.
Warning. The following podcast is utter nonsense and may cause agoraphobia, kleptomania, insomnia, and oppositional defiance disorder. We are required by law to provide you with this disclaimer for hazardous materials.
Welcome back to Hazardous Materials, last week's comics this week, wherein we do talk about last week's comics this week.
And also throwing some multimedia news at the end just to keep you engaged for that entire sweet hour.
My name's Casey Johnson, with me as always,
Gideon Gonzalez.
So, top of the hour, we got strange stuff.
Yes.
But not the kind of strange stuff you would think of.
Something good enough to actually make you care about Adam Strange, which is
a Herculean effort.
A character who I've never read a solo story from. I've always seen him pop up like in Justice League issues or Brave and the Bold or on cartoons.
This is a first.
Yeah, and this was real damn good. It's Strange Adventures #1 from the creative team of Tom King, Mitch Gerads, and Doc Shaner. Now, King and Gerads are responsible for one of my favorite books from last year, Mr. Miracle, which is all-timer. Everyone should read it. Doc Shaner has bounced around a little bit. He's worked on the Terrifics. He did a really good Shazam story a couple years ago. But the way he's positioned here with Gerads doing the modern day stuff and Shaner doing like Silver Age flashbacks, really, really good and plays to both of their strengths.
Now, some people may not understand this. We're talking about DC's Adam Strange. This is not Stephen Strange. Adam Strange is kind of DC's analog for Flash Gordon, basically an Earthman who's been hit by, what's the ray called?
A Zeta Beam.
A Zeta Beam, which sends him to the planet Rand, which he ends up defending. And when the Zeta Beam wears off, he comes back to Earth.
He also gets a really cool jetpack on Rand and a little finned helmet.
Yes, he's got an iconic look, but not a whole lot of people know about him. But yeah, I mean, even in this issue, he is extremely kind of squarish, 50s Flash Gordon-ish in his dialogue.
And they do a really great job of contrasting, again, like that goofy old sci-fi serial thing whenever it's flashing back to him on Rand with his modern stuff where he's confronted with, hey, maybe I committed war crimes.
Yeah.
Like so
the reality of it.
Pretty much all of Tom King's work is somehow reflective of guilt and reassimilation after his involvement in the Iraq War. And this one makes it very, very explicit.
Yeah, what's the name of these the villains he's facing off on Rand? Is the Rick, the Rink?
I don't remember what the actual name is, but I do know the Silver Age name is the Murdermen.
I was just about to bring that out
a lot.
That was the best ever. It's like there's a squad of Murdermen coming. I'm like, that's the best thing I've read all week.
Yeah, and man, the way they're positioning it as, hey, Ron's pretty messed up, and maybe Adam Strange wasn't actually like what's the word I'm looking for? Not justified.
Not blameless.
Yeah, that he's got some dirty hands.
Yeah, which comes in the form of the modern day vignettes where he's basically on a book tour. And as the book tour progresses, it goes from people walking up to him are very supportive and really jazzed about
an American hero
to like later in the book where you got this crazed rabid dude talking about, you know, all these people you murdered and you're lying to the American people and you're just a mass murderer. And I'm like, dude,
and a
that
detail
escalated.
I don't know if, I mean, Mitch Gerads is pretty clearly usually like bases characters' faces off of actual people. I'm fairly certain he used Tom King's likeness for it. So having Tom King call out the character representing his own kind of inner struggle. Very fun detail.
So while this guy's yelling at him, I think one of the interesting details is there's a crowd of phones being held up recording the entire thing like this around the guy.
And then the guy later pops up while Strange is still doing the book signing, having been shot in the head with a laser gun.
From an other world.
And so, of course, don't look great for old Adam.
No, it sure doesn't.
And so he asks his good buddy, Batman, to investigate it for him. He's like, nah, I'm too close to this one, Adam. But I know a guy. And
the guy that pops up does not surprise me considering what King has been doing in the past, which is our boy, Mr. Terrific.
Yep. With that sweet, sweet fair play sleeve showing up.
Yes. Mr. Terrific, I don't know if you watched some of the CW shows, but Mr. Terrific is showing up in, was it?
Arrow. He
Arrow.
was on Arrow before Arrow ended.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. He's the third smartest man on Earth. And I think it takes a lot to admit that you are the third smartest.
It's very humbling.
Yeah.
He knows where his place is.
But he's a revamp of a Golden Age character, Mr. Terrific, whose whole thing was he had fair play on his chest. And the new Mr. Terrific's got a sweet, sweet jacket with it on the sleeves. He's got little T-spheres that can do pretty much anything. Yeah. He's also the star of the Terrifics, which is a incredibly underrated DC book that everyone should be reading, and I try to pimp it out whenever I can.
Yeah, I think he was also in Justice League Unlimited a fair amount as well.
Yeah, he was in a couple episodes of those. He really rose to prominence during Geoff Johns' JSA tenure. He was a major character there.
I really like the fact that DC has been using this character a lot.
Yeah, I think he's a really cool character.
I think he deserves to be in the mainstream.
Same. I didn't love the New 52 book he had, but every use they've had from since those 8 issues has been excellent. Always like seeing him pop up and stuff. Yeah,
Mr. Terrific did get folded pretty quickly. It was like around the 8th issue they killed that one.
Yeah, it was one of the first ones to die. But yeah, Strange Adventures. Really can't say anything more about it. If you like the Vision, if you liked Mega Men, if you liked Mr. Miracle, more of the same from Tom King. Doing great prestige projects. It's going to be 12 issues. It's going to be awesome.
One last thing I wanted to mention is, of course, that the art style differs between, you're looking at flashbacks, you're looking at the modern day. Flashbacks are all nice and clean, perfect lines. Everything's got color, while the modern day has got, heavy inks, muddled, a little bit of dirt, almost in every shot. And his wife, a lot more jaded than she used to be back during her. Oh, Adam Strange, you've saved this world, and we were all thankful. And then to the modern day, she's like, God damn it!
I feel like we're building up to a reveal that the Doc Shaner pages are much more of how Adam remembers it than how they actually were.
I'm thinking.
I feel like we're building up to an all Mitch Gerads issue where everything's just awful.
So next in we got is Flash is returning to its legacy numbering scheme with number 750, which is a thick old bastard.
And I love me a good anthology.
Yes, you do like bringing in big, thick books and making me have to work overtime to read them.
This one rocks. I've been a little hesitant on the Flash franchise the past few years, but this issue knocked my socks off. Just great work from all the creators involved. The opening one is a Joshua Williamson and Steven Segovia and Rafa Sandoval story that ties into the current ongoing Flash stuff. It actually made me kind of want to check out the Flash book again.
Yeah, it actually starts showcasing Barry as something other than a caricature, although still Square Barry is in there.
Yeah, but we're getting more of my preferred golden retriever, nicest guy on the planet, Barry Allen. And while the villain Paradox didn't really excite me that much, and Godspeed is still a character I could care less about. There is a pretty big reveal in that story, though, when Iris mentions that she's got a couple big surprises for Barry.
Yeah.
Tornado twins.
Yeah, there's that. And apparently there's a new process that Flash can do called the Flash Mind or something like that. So he can basically process different realities in his mind.
That's been around since New 52 Flash.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
That shows you just how much I've checked out on Go Barry.
There's a really good, probably the best issue New 52 Flash where he makes use of that and they do 3 lightning bolts across the page for half the issue, showing the trail of cause and effect. Really cool issue. Highly recommend. I don't remember what the issue number is.
In these brackets, we've got a Gorilla Grodd Flash hero.
And this is in the Brian Buccellato and Francis Manapul story, the creative team that did that Flash story.
Right. And an Iris Allen Flash.
And a kid who reads New 52 Flash Volume 1 and goes to get and recreates the effects of that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was wondering about that. I'm trying to figure out Godspeed, though. I mean, I love me some speedsters. I love speedsters, Marvel or DC. It's just a kind of a thing of mine. So I like Godspeed. And it sounds like Godspeed is talking about what would happen if like he had been hit by the lightning bolt or something along those lines.
See, I think you're mixing.
Am I mixing up the stories?
You're mixing up a couple stories, yeah. But I think actually, I think that story might have been actually no, because in the Booch and Manapul story starts off with Iris. I think Barry says something effective like, "No one else could do what I do," and then he goes, "Or could they?" And then sees all those alternate realities.
Oh yeah, okay. So I am getting mixed up with a later story where Godspeed comes in.
The Godspeed's the first story in the book.
Okay, so that's what I thought we were talking about.
Yeah, which we wrapped and moved to the Manapul and Buccellato story.
I'm completely lost.
You jumped the story. We wrapped.
I'm edit this. Delete this now. No, there was a lot of stories involved in there, and because I had to read it so quickly, unfortunately, some of the stories are mixing up in my brain, and I'm aged. So moving on.
It's okay. The Johns Kolins reunion for Captain Cold was awesome. I loved it. It felt like a lost story, like from the original Johns and Kolins Flash run, which is one of my all-time favorites.
I've seen this artist before. And I swear I've even seen him draw the Rogues before.
Yeah, Scott Kolins. He drew Geoff Johns' Flash run in the early 2000s.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Because he came up with Zoom's eye with that little dot in the black mask.
Exactly.
That's right. We've even talked about this too.
There was the I thought it was really fun. The Marv Wolfman and Riley Rossmo Mirror Master story that homaged a lot of classic Silver Age Flash stories, including my all-time favorite Flash cover, The Plight of the Puppet Flash.
You're so strange.
So good.
I thought that the Mirror Master one was kind of the weakest one. It's one I wanted to skip to the quickest.
But in fairness, there's a bunch of real good stories in here.
There were. And the Mirror Master one was the only one that kind of let me down because it just felt like, okay, it's Mirror Master. Doing his Mr. Master thing.
Yeah.
And he's done. Story's done. Moving on.
There's another Joshua Williamson story in here with art by Dave Marquez. That's a Golden Age Flash story, which is our second story in DC's all new, all different timeline, where Wonder Woman is the first hero to make their debut in World War II times. So Jay Garrick's rolling around. He's fighting the Thinker.
I like Jay Garrick's updated outfit.
Yeah, it looks real slick.
Yeah.
I'm normally a very vocal proponent of, no, Jay Garrick just wears a shirt and pants like people. But this is, I like how it looks of its era, you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel overly techie.
It doesn't feel overly techie. It feels like something a person that runs this quickly should wear.
Yeah.
Even though I think there was like a loop over his fingers so his sleeves stay in place.
Looking proper.
And he's got a nice marine collar going on, which I've always thought looked sharp.
There's a very fun bit where a mysterious voice whispers to him to give up. And I mean, we all know who that is. It's that time-traveling trickster Professor Zoom.
A little dip of the yellow mask in the shot there was kind of a giveaway too.
But old Jay,
yeah, none of that.
doesn't take that advice. He keeps on fighting. He throws a little hat around.
I like that he threw the hat.
Does his Jay Garrick thing.
He threw the hat like Xena.
I don't think I've mentioned it on the show, but I might have mentioned it to you that one of my frustrations with the Flash run currently is that it's going a little too far in having Eobard Thawne involved in everything.
Right.
Like my big breaking point was when they had him involved with Hunter Zolomon's origin. And I was like, well, that's just adding a hat on a hat. He already had a perfectly good origin based on his own hubris.
Exactly.
But I really like this story because like it's a subtle thing. It's not Zoom being like, I gave that criminal a gun to shoot your family, Solomon. It's like, yeah, he's like trying to subtly affect things. Also, it doesn't work. Like it also is a great character bit for Jay Garrick.
Yeah, I did like that too.
Yeah.
When I saw the thing, it's like, oh, hey, cool, Reverse Flash. And like you, I was like, I hope he's not going to dominate the rest of this little story.
Nope. He's just in there and Jay keeps on fighting. And this honestly made me really excited to check out that Generation 1 shot they're doing about the World War II heroes in the near future.
Yeah, I'm really a sucker for a nice updated outfit that still stays true to its roots. And if what I'm seeing here with Jay Garrick's outfit is any indication, I'm really kind of interested to see what they do with the rest of Justice Society.
Better not get rid of Alan Scott's big old collar, though.
Oh, no, that's a pimp collar right there, man. Doctor Strange really sells that sucker.
And his little slippers with the laces. All about that look.
His little medieval things, the laces going down his legs.
Alan Scott is a fashion icon, and I won't hear a word otherwise.
Oh my God. I never will truly understand how a man could call himself Green Lantern and walk around with a red blouse. And yes, it is a blouse.
And a purple cape.
And a purple cape. What the hell is he trying to tell me? I know what he's trying to tell me is the guy that made this. Like, what ink is going to stay on this page the easiest? Purple and red it is.
And the last story in this bunch is a continuation of Flash Forward number 6 with a boy Wally chilling in the Mobius chair, seeing all the timelines happening at once, being like, whoa, that's weird. Here's some good Teen Titans and here's some really bad Teen Titans.
Yeah. So we find out that basically time is becoming fractured and broken because things are not on separate worlds. They're all happening on the same world at the same time.
Time keeps on slipping into the future.
Damn you. So that's the conundrum that Wally is now dealing with, is the fact that his actions, while good and decent, have completely pulled a flashpoint. This is his flashpoint.
Yes.
Yes, because now time is completely broken.
And I assume, as for the last page, where he's asked if he is up to the challenge.
Of course he is.
Yeah. Fastest man alive, the power of a god, and the Mobius chair. I got this.
I'm hoping that means that his time in the Mobius chair is going to be short-lived.
Oh, yeah. I think this pretty well confirms that.
Good.
And I love the little hints of that Wally's not completely like lost in the sauce. Like he still got his personality.
Yeah, and I was really concerned about that because I remember when Batman was sitting in the Mobius chair and he just completely checked out.
Yeah. He's a big old jerk who's teasing 3 Jokers and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, when are we going to get our 3 Jokers book?
We'll see.
Wow. I actually looked up into that onto the guy's Twitter account. And the fact he's been working on it for 9 months now.
Yeah.
It's like, I swear to God, I'm still working on it.
Jason Fabok is chipping away. I don't blame him at all for this. And dude does great work. So it's going to look nice, even though I'm not super jazzed about the story. Geoff Johns and Batman don't have a great track record.
I've never even seen any of Geoff Johns' Batman work, so I really can't speak on that one. But I have been waiting for this book for a long time because I need to know. I need to know if this is like really the deal. Is this really what we're going to be dealing with for the rest of Joker's existence?
I have my doubts. That's all I'll say on that. And that wraps up our Flash 750 talk. It's really good. It's real big. There's a million great covers for it. Go buy at least one. Be like me and buy 2. Yeah,
I know you got the checkered thing, which I salute you on because I definitely did dig DC's old checkerboard frame.
I had to rep my 2 favorite eras. Love me some 60s Flash and all about Geoff Johns and Scott Kolins, Howard Porter, all them. That era of Flash is one of my faves as well. From boy Wally.
So next thing we've got is what I'm thinking is the last leg of the Superman Identity Tour. Mm-hmm. And that's Superman Villains.
Weirdly titled because it doesn't have that much to do about, like, there's 3 villain stories in here.
Yeah.
Or 4 villain stories, but it's mostly just feels like an issue of Bendis Superman. Mm-hmm. It's a weird one. Like, I liked it on the whole. I didn't love it like I did Heroes. I really liked when it was actually a Superman Villains book.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I might be really wrong on this one.
Okay.
But it really felt like some of the story elements, especially when we're dealing with the owner of the Daily Planet, were using the same artist that we saw in early issues of Alias.
Yeah, that was Michael Gaydos making his first DC interior work.
Okay, I was wondering about that because it's like this kind of art style I don't usually like. But this one I do.
But it's Gaydos. It's real good.
This one I do. And that's because I was a big fan of Alias.
Yes.
Because I felt the art style was perfect for that book.
Yeah. It's like,
it was.
Say what you will about Bendis' tenure at DC. I love that he's bringing all of his buddies with him.
Yeah.
So like, and again, we have Fraction working on this book. We've got, let me look at it's a massive list of creators. We've got Brian Michael Bendis, Matt Fraction, Jody Hauser, Brian Hitch, Steve Lieber, Michael Gaydos, Cully Hamner, Jim Mahfood, and Riley Rossmo. It's a killer lineup.
Now, while we're dropping a lot of names here, and I should be very clear about the thing that I'm talking about. Bendis is, what was the name of the artist?
Michael Gaydos.
Michael Gaydos and Bendis made a title called Alias, which some of you may understand as Jessica Jones, which had a series on Netflix recently. Mm-hmm. 3 series on Netflix. And I'm hoping that actually comes back in some way.
Me too. There's a lot of fun in that show. Fun. A lot of heavy stuff.
There was some heavy stuff, especially season 1.
Yeah. Woo.
That was some heavy.
But there's some great little short villain stories because like the overarching story is kind of just like a Bendis Superman issue with dealing with the owner of the Daily Planet, and if they can report this story that she also owns the Invisible Mafia, or what's the right thing to do. And it's good journalism reporter stuff. But you also get a 2-pager Fraction Steve Lieber Lex Luthor story where he checks his voicemail the day after Superman reveals. And it's just from the Joker. He's got 80 messages of the Joker laughing at him.
That was the best. It's like I got part 2 to my favorite part of this whole thing.
And which
is Lex Luthor coming to terms with the fact that as brilliant as he is, he couldn't figure out who Superman was.
I love the little detail of his like Lex Luthor core Alexa knockoff is called an Otis. And he's got the little hat and calls him Mr. Luthor.
I think that my hat is also off to the fact that Joker made 98 messages of him laughing at him.
Powerful stuff. There's a really fun Toyman story with art by Riley Rossmo of him getting.
I really like that story.
Yeah, him getting involved with Checkmate and kind of seeing that after Superman realizes it, he's like, oh, he was never talking down to me. Like he's just a guy.
Yeah,
like
just
me.
like me. He actually had a message. And the reason why I really liked that one, it was actually my favorite story of the entire book. I love villain redemption stories. I love them. I don't care how B, C, D, or even F serious this villain is. I mean, Toyman, who the hell cares about Toyman? But Toyman Redemption? I'm sold. In. I will buy that book.
I'm really curious to see what Bendis' Checkmate's going to look like. So the only characters I know who are in it are obviously Toyman now, but I think King Faraday is involved. The Kate Spencer Manhunter is a character I really dig.
Amanda Waller?
I don't know if Amanda Waller's in it, but I know Lois is involved somehow. I think both Questions are going to be in it. Checkmate's going to be an interesting book whenever that rolls around.
Remember Nemesis?
Yeah, love that guy.
Yeah, wasn't he Checkmate for a while?
Yes, he was also in the Suicide Squad for a while. Last I saw Nemesis was, unless he showed up in the New 52, which I don't remember, but he was in Gail Simone's run on Wonder Woman. He was Wonder Woman's love interest, and that was really fun.
I loved Nemesis way back in the olden times. I almost said exactly what year that was. It was back during when you could walk into a drugstore and do a spinner that was covered in comics.
Back when we called them drugstores.
Yes.
A druggist.
A druggist.
Chemist. I say after we called them alchemists, but before we called them pharmacies.
Shut up, man. I walked into a 5 and dime and I walked out with a Wonder Woman, see?
I was picking up my Action Comics at the Piggly Wiggly.
You shut the hell up. All right.
Other stories I wanted to highlight. Really fun little Bendis and Cully Hamner story at the beginning with Pa Kent. Weird pick for the villains book, but I'll take it.
That's why I call this the tour.
Yeah.
This is basically the world tour of, hey, check me out. I'm Clark Kent. And we got a lot of stories to tell. But we got to put different names on them. And yeah, that's had nothing to do with the villain and everything to do with the fact that apparently he's got his parents. Are they even on Earth?
Yeah, they're on Earth, but I think he just hid them.
And like an island that's got a shield on it that like uses Kryptonian like cloaking. I was like, well, then what's Pa Kent gonna sell his stuff? He's a farmer.
Make his own food.
I guess that's what he's gonna have to do now.
Self-sufficient. But he's Superman's dad. He ain't gotta work.
That's true.
Superman can send him those fat Daily Planet checks every.
Well, that was interesting too, because when they were talking about the fact that Clark Kent never asked for a raise. Mm-hmm. And Perry is talking about, well, we can't do this because money is involved. And I'm thinking, does Superman really need money? Is that important to him, really?
My guy doesn't eat. He's got his own got a little house on the North Pole.
Yeah, so that's probably why he's why he never asked for a raise. But yeah, going back to the original story that we were talking about is the fact that this story about the Daily Planet's owner being involved in the Invisible Mob could very well sink the very paper that's running this story.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why can't we just give it to the Daily Star? It's like, no, because we've got this story. This is our responsibility. And I guess it comes back to now we're talking about journalistic integrity, and the Daily Planet seems to be the apex of this particular
There's a
trait.
Very fun bit where Lois tricks their boss into a no comment faux pas, which is very good. Great stuff. And really fun Bizarro story with Jim Mahfood art, where Bizarro has an identity crisis after Superman.
Who am me? Is it who am me or who I is? Who am me? Okay. And that's it.
And I think it's a 3 or 4 page Mongol story with art by Bryan Hitch that establishes that the Mongol that's been terrorizing Superman in the main book is actually son of Mongol.
So apparently we go through a lot of Mongols. It's like, wait a minute, why is Mongol talking and there's another Mongol right behind him? This is not going to turn out right.
I think is very fun just because Mongol 2 was completely like indiscernible from Mongol 1. So it makes sense that Mongol 3
So
would
I guess
also
the Mongol that had all the Sinestro rings is long dead.
No, that's Mongol 2. That's the one who just died in this issue.
Okay, because when the guy spoke up, he goes, I am Mongol 68.
Yeah. Well, that's just going past the Mongols that we've known.
Okay.
Because Mongol 1 first shows up in DC Comics Presents in the 80s, and then he's the guy who blew up Coast City and all that jazz. He dies somewhere along the line, and Mongol 2 pops up in, I think, 93 and 94 in Showcase. And so then he's been the one since then. So Mongols get like a 15-year run.
Now, I know that Coast City blew up, and that's really what kind of sent Hal Jordan over the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't Star City also get the same kind of treatment a few years later?
More than a few years later, about 15 years later, during Cry for Justice, one of the worst comics ever written.
Oh, God, I know.
Some bad stuff. But
that's actually that was the last issue before New 52 just erased everything.
No, Cry for Justice was about a year before New 52.
But like it seemed like all of the repercussions that came of this was because Green Arrow kills Prometheus, and then everything gets rebooted. So it's like, who gives a crap?
No, we had to survive a year of a really bad Green Arrow comic. Rise of Arsenal happened, and I can't ever forget it. I'm going to have to just do a whole episode just shooting on Rise of Arsenal, because although it's been over a decade at this point, what more can be said about how bad it is?
You know, pain lasts for years.
It's true. Sometimes I remind Identity Crisis exists, and I go, whew.
Oh, wow.
Salt on the wound.
Yeah, you know, every time
Phantom pain.
You know, sometimes when I think about things like that, especially Identity Crisis, I'm like, can I really talk about this in mixed company?
No.
That's how bad that is.
Every so often, someone mentioned it at work, and I'll just get all worked up about it and just like, rawr.
It's like, it really is something that's like, hey, what's Identity Crisis about? No, we're not having this conversation.
But one last note on Superman villains, kind of bring it all full circle. You may notice on this cover, there are many villains.
Villains.
Do you know how many of the villains on this cover appear in this issue?
3?
No. One. It's Lex Luthor. The Joker shows up in a voicemail, which you could argue is 2.
That's true, because you got Grodd and Death. Yeah. There's Reverse Flash.
Like,
and
none of the villains actually featured in the issue are on the cover. Like
there's Cheetah.
No Bizarro, no Toyman, no Mongol.
It feels like it was just a pinup that they decided to use for the cover.
Yeah, weird pick.
Oh my God.
Still, decent issue.
Yeah, if you like a big poster for villains, this is definitely the one for you.
I have Lex Luthor menacingly holding glasses.
Whatever, Lex. So, I'm so done with you.
Moving into the Gideon Gonzalez Indie Hour.
Yes, the Indie Hour.
I'm starting off with Ahoy Comics' newest number 1 by Mark Russell and Steve Hugh, the creative team that brought us The Flintstones, one of my top 10 comics of the 2010s. Billionaire Island.
I know nothing about this book.
So the premise is ecological disaster has been hitting the world, and there's a special island for billionaires. It's basically a big old party boat,
right?
Party boat city. And a lot of folks don't like that. So you have a reporter who infiltrates. I say infiltrate. She goes to do an interview, but then he gets trapped there in a literal giant hamster cage that the owner of Billionaire Island maintains for all of his enemies.
Oh, okay. It's like that, is it?
Including one who was a woman who went for an interview, was rejected, but since she couldn't leave, they keep her in the hamster cage, and she's convinced that it's just part of the test for the interview, and she's been there for like a year.
Wow.
So you have some great bits of these corporate people like just flailing over themselves, trying to impress their guards and fighting over the hamburgers they get dumped in.
Man, Ahoy has really been having a banner year of just batshit crazy stuff.
Ahoy is my favorite indie publisher right now, and and whenever I pick up one of their books, it's always a good solid chortle.
So where did Ahoy come from? I mean, this is like the 4th episode that you've been bringing up books of theirs, and I kind of want to know where their origins are. Ahoy
Comics, I believe at least the main driving force is Tom Pyre, who has been an editor at least DC. I think he's done a little bit of Marvel work, but like since the 80s or so. I really got into his work from his 90s Our Man book. He's also collaborated a bunch with Mark Waid around that same time.
I like Mark Waid.
Yeah. I believe he worked on some of Mark Waid's Flash near the end, and that when Wally had his kids. Peter wrote a bunch of those issues. He wrote a lot of the Batman 66 comic. If you read any of the 90s Atom one-shots they did, he did those. Really great writer, excellent editor. He's just been bringing in top-notch talent to Ahoy, where it just really feels like pie in the sky pitches, just like hit me with your craziest thing.
I mean, so I'm assuming this comic shop, whatever, is very new, like within the past year.
Which one?
Ahoy,
yeah. They started, I think, in 2019, maybe late 2018. The Wrong Earth was their debut title, and that's one of my favorite comics of the last couple of years.
That's very interesting.
They also picked up Second Coming after DC dropped the book, and Mark Russell and Richard Pace shipped it over to Ahoy. And now Mark Russell has another book with Ahoy with Billionaire Island.
I'm glad that all the new comic book companies coming have learned the lessons of cross-gen. Do you remember cross-gen?
Very vaguely, but lay it on me.
Cross-gen was a comic where basically a millionaire, billionaire, whatever you want to call him, got a bug up his butt. Like, I want to have a comic book company.
It was the time.
And he wanted to have it as a bullpen, kind of like the old 70s Marvel. And like everything was high tech. There was bunks in the place and showers and a gymnasium and all this super high tech stuff. Like, it was
Did they have their very own Jim Shooter on hand?
It feels like it, but it really felt like Microsoft had obviously put this office together. And I wish I had the details of it specifically, but it was just so over the top. You knew they were spending crap loads of money to not only keep this place running, but all to keep this high end talent that they had hired in. And of course, you do something like that, you're going to hemorrhage cash. And that's what happened to them.
R.I.P. CrossGen.
Yeah. Their stuff wasn't really that good either. I guess
that's the real tragedy of it all. It wasn't even good.
Yeah, because what he was trying to do is he was coddling all this art talent with all this high tech stuff, but he wasn't disciplining them. So they would miss deadlines constantly. And if you miss deadlines, especially if you're a new comic book, that means you don't have revenue. And yeah, when you have the super fortress that you've made for yourself, you need revenue.
At the Hall of Justice.
Yeah, so poor CrossGen got killed. Google CrossGen Comics and you'll see what I'm talking about.
So the other element of Billionaire Island is you have a character whose family was killed by the callousness of the billionaires testing out poisons on rations for refugees. And he is a Punisher type character who is killing his way through millionaires to get to the billionaires. And the issue ends with him making his way towards the island.
So is he the prime focus of this book?
Kind of. Him and the reporter, they kind of get a 50-50 split.
Okay, because that sounds like it's something I can definitely get down on.
You should definitely jump on Billionaire Island.
I was already in it when you said that a woman had been locked up for a year and she thought it was part of the interview process. I'm already sold on that. And the more you keep bringing these Ahoy books, and they just sound just so crazy. I was like, I'm intrigued on the crazy level you're bringing to this table.
Second Coming. What was the other one? Planet of the Nerds is a big one I really dug.
Yeah, we did over the Planet of the Nerds, and I actually ended up reading like most of the issues off of that.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah.
I never read the first one, though. Because, I have no process.
Well, that's it. It's why I do the show, is so I can get people to read some fun, weird books.
There's some fun, weird stuff.
And another weird book. Well, this one's not that weird. It's a licensed comic.
It's a licensed comic that I didn't read.
It's Transformers Galaxies #5 by Kate Leth, Cohen Edenfield, and Alex Milne, who is my favorite Transformers artist.
Now, this one kind of came out of nowhere for me, and I actually had to ask you, why Transformers #5? So tell me why.
Galaxies is the spin-off book from the main Transformers book, where Galaxies is focused more on shorter, more specific character-focused arcs. So the first 4 issues were a Devastator origin story. They were pretty rad.
I love Devastator.
Yeah, you should read it. It's really badass. And this one is called the appropriately titled Wannabe, starring Cliffjumper.
I knew you were going to say Cliffjumper. I knew it.
Red Bumblebee. Who,
the minute you said Wannabe, is like, this is going to be about Cliffjumper, isn't it?
Who is tasked with a diplomatic mission to a planet that Bumblebee once saved, but all of the sentience on the planet they see via echolocation, so they have no concept of color. So they just see the same horned head and little chunky body, and they're like, the bee must please the bee. So they worship the ground he walks on, and Cliffjumper did not know this going in. He was like, oh, I'm so glad I got picked for this important mission. There's like a quick, fun little flashback page of him being mistaken for Bumblebee. Like Optimus Prime calls him that. He's like, it's Cliffjumper. Someone else says it's Cliffjumper. Starscream calls him Tumblebee, and he goes, hey, it's Bumblebee.
I've noticed that there is the running gag in Transformers that unfortunate things happen to Cliffjumper.
Yeah. This one, his I guess the guy leading this mission is the character with a very friendly name of Deathsaurus.
Oh yeah, that goes by.
Yeah, so this is also pre-war. So
okay,
Autobots and Decepticons haven't been defined yet. They're all just robots.
I gave this report over to Deathsaurus. I'm sure it'll be just fine.
So Deathsaurus is there to make sure that the local sentients are doing what the Transformers landed and told them to do, which is mine energon.
Mm-hmm.
However, Cliffjumper finds out that the natives can refine the energon naturally into like a crystalline form, which Deathsaurus quickly eats and gets quite the rush out of.
Deathsaurus.
And Cliffjumper's like, hey, can we not murder these people? It seems pretty messed up. Also, we're kind of exploiting them. That's bad.
Yeah.
And Deathsaurus is like, oh, I'm very sorry that you had to die valiantly. And so the issue ends with him getting his name again, but calling him Cliffhanger.
Oh, jeez.
So good. Oh, love this book.
I mean, this really comes into play with a name like Deathsaurus. You really come into the trope of damn you for your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
One of my favorite bits in the prior IDW Transformers continuity, which I adore, is Senator Ratbat. Kills me. The first time I read it, I cackled when I read the name Senator Ratbat.
Senator Ratbat, what say you? I actually love Ratbat. I actually have a very, very small collection of the Transformers I had as a kid. And of all of them, Ratbat suffered the least.
A little pink cassette.
A purple cassette.
Oh, purple.
A purple cassette. He sits up there with the other two that I had. I have a Razor Claw from the Predacon line. And remember the monster ones that the monster combiner for Decepticons? And the leader was like a double-headed dragon?
Jeez, I don't remember.
I have that double-headed dragon.
Well, that's very cool. So yes, well, I'm not a big fan of the main Transformers book just because I was so married to the prior continuity. These little short stories are really getting me, and I got quite a few laughs out of this. If you like Transformers, or if you just want a silly, fun story, highly recommend.
Who's doing Transformers? Is it IDW?
Yeah, IDW's still doing it, but they just rebooted their whole universe for some reason.
So you prefer the Dreamwave stuff?
No. I prefer the first IDW run.
Oh, okay.
Which ended...
I'm going way too far back then.
A little bit too. You're talking about like the Pat Lee stuff with the dull surprise?
Yeah.
Every robot has one expression.
Yeah,
and it's just mouth slightly agape.
But I mean, the art was pretty decent and well detailed.
Pat Lee wasn't one for continuity within his own panels.
No, he was not.
Devastator could be the size of a skyscraper or like the size of a boat.
I did notice that,
depending on the page.
But I think that problem existed with any Transformers comic until that time.
Yeah, about to say 80s Marvel Transformers. Whoo boy, and a comic that really depends on you being able to identify characters by color. They sure did mess up those colors a lot.
Oh, yeah, that was back when they just did not care.
No.
I actually went back and actually looked at just to see, okay, who was the colorist on this job? You suck. And this goes back to my problem with coloration and lazy artists and crap like that. Because remember I told you about how the colorist had to save art for Quicksilver because all he was is just a little dude. The same problem happens here, but this is where the colorist just flat out said, you know what, I can't fix this problem. This guy is now purple.
There's too many damn trucks. They all look the goddamn same.
I'm an adult man, and this guy looks like he should be blue. Blue he is.
I'm sure Jim Shooter was devastated when cashing those sweet Hasbro checks every month.
Damn Jim Shooter.
What a character. So we're finally to our Marvel segment.
Thank you.
And I'll let you take the rein on this because the Gideon Gonzalez Indie Hour.
The indie hour has concluded now. Now we're going to talk about something strange. The other strange thing that we're going to be bringing up in this episode, and that is Strange Academy #1. This really did feel like X-Men for Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. The story starts off with someone, a kid who's innately magical. So, she's doing very small things. And as she grows up, she starts doing like large things without realizing that with magic, there's a transference.
Like reviving your
price.
dog after get hit by a truck.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm going to do all these kind of things. And then this tree comes to life, goes, damn you for what you've stolen from me. I was like, oh, things got ramped up big time.
And she's saved by Zelma, who is Doctor Strange's sidekick in the Jason Aaron run. And it was cool to see her come back.
That was cool. So we see a lot of really odd characters coming out of there. Well, we got 2 Asgardians.
Yeah.
We have a full-sized frost giant.
It was very cute. I really like them.
The son of Dormammu.
Doyle Dormammu. I love Doyle. He's
The
my
best
boy.
part of this. We have an outright demon called Despair. Not Despair. It was it was Despair.
She's...
But it's not Despair with a Y.
Let's say is she daughter of Despair?
No, but she likes to call herself Desi, and apparently
she knows secrets.
But she's an outright infernal demon, but not like a demon like our boy Dormammu, who's just basically an other dimensional wizard kid thing.
Doyle Dormammu. He's still got the flaming head, but he's wearing his little skinny kid.
Yeah,
that's very cute.
I was like, oh, he's just got a jack-o'-lantern head. That can't be Dormammu's kid. He's Dormammu's kid. We've also got a fairy.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember what else we had in this weird book, this collection. Oh, we got like a swamp creature.
Yeah, there's a swamp kid from Weird World.
Mm-hmm.
The other like human character is a New Orleans native where the book takes place.
Yeah. Oh, we got an orphan who's part of the foster care system, who's apparently as an animated jacket monster.
Very fun.
That Doctor Strange thought was really gross.
I did I thought it was very funny where at the end where they're like, please call Strange Academy. Where's Doctor Strange? And Doctor Strange shows up fighting a demon and is like, all right, kids, everyone murder the extra dimensional entity.
Yeah, I mean, you just go straight in. It's time for fighting. And this is what we're going to do with this book. We're not going to bog it down with the politics of students.
Yeah.
We're going to fight some other dimensional monsters. And I like the fact that when everything was said and done, there was still something eating Doctor Strange's shoulder.
Yep. Scotty Young knows what the people want.
Yeah. Scotty Young is known for his chibi art.
Mm-hmm. This is drawn by Humberto Ramos, but written by Scotty Young.
Right. I've never seen anything written by Scotty Young.
He did. I'm trying to remember what the book is called. It's a Middle West is his image book that's been getting a lot of press lately.
Mm-hmm.
He's written a couple other things that he hasn't drawn, but Middle West is the big one that jumps to mind. He just wrote a Deadpool run, actually. I haven't read it, though, so I can't speak to it.
Now, I'm going to say this because I think it's really true. I think Humberto Ramos's art style has grown up.
Yeah, I actually really like seeing him on fantasy stuff again because he did a lot of like fantasy detective books with Paul Jenkins that were really cool. Mm-hmm. And this harkens back to that, especially with the colored pencil aesthetic.
I mean, if you compare it back to what he did with X Academy 2099, way back in the 90s, and you compare it to this, it's like it is drastically different.
I was a big Ramos fan as a kid from his work on Impulse. And yeah, you can really see the change there.
He's gotten rid of the heavy foot.
Yeah, no more big ass feet.
Yes.
Some characters still get the big hair though.
I did see that. I really like this cast of kids. I really do. And I like the fact that we're going to be seeing guest stars like Magic and Nico and the mutant pariah that is Scarlet Witch.
And my dude, Dr. Voodoo. He's the headmaster.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's super cool. I love that.
I was like, the more that character ages, I'm like, is it bad that they can still call him Dr. Voodoo? Is that still okay?
I hope he's still being followed around by his ghostly brother playing the drums all the time. Mm-hmm. So my favorite, it's from Chris Priest Black Panthers, that every time he shows up, there's text sound effects of dum 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 dum, and characters would comment on it. Like, can you turn that down at all?
Now, from what I'm hearing, of course, this is a complete rumor, and I can't even remember where I saw it, is that Brother Voodoo is coming into the MCU somehow.
I'd be super down for it. I love that guy.
I mean, one of the probably the biggest, easiest ways to do it is the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
Oh, we've already got. Now they said a long time ago the Multiverse of Madness was definitely going to have Baron Mordo as the villain
after they gave him the Sinestro arc in the first Doctor Strange.
Although now that I'm hearing more about this book or this movie, I'm like, is he really necessary?
Yeah, it's going to be a wild
all this
one.
other crazy stuff going on.
I have faith in Sam Raimi.
I do, and I really hope that he is going to get attached to it because I have not heard hide nor hair of that since the rumor first dropped.
Yeah,
we don't even know if he's signed.
We'll see. Fingers crossed.
If he gets signed, that's newsworthy.
Yeah,
I will lose my shit. I swear to God.
But will he bring into this multiverse his most famous cinematic wizard? I, of course, am referring to the Wizard of Oz.
Are you talking about
James Franco as the Wizard of Oz, the Great and Powerful?
I don't think that's going to happen. For a minute there, I thought you were talking about his brother Ted.
No. Well, Ted's a given.
Yeah, Ted's going to show up as like some kind of imp or demon.
Will Disney's Oz the Great and Powerful make a crossover appearance?
You know, you need to stop with that. Oz the Great and Powerful is where it needs to be, and it's the Oz the Great and Powerful world. I really like this book. This is definitely something I'm going to be reading. I think the kids in it are super cool.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good teen drama, so I'll give it a little follow.
Yeah.
Also, make sure you fill out your Strange Academy application and send it in.
Yeah, we're going to put
fun.
that up here. Yeah. You can actually get this online, or actually if you download the book like on Comixology, or like that's like the last page of the book, and you can kind of cut and print there.
Or you can be a authentic 70s kid and just
rip out the damn book and
send it to Marvel.
Collection be damned.
Get your Marvel collector stamp.
Oh, and they actually do encourage you to send it via paper mail.
Super fun.
Which means I'm doing that.
Hell yeah. And we're moving along to a book I didn't get a chance to read, but you sung the praises of.
Yes, Spider-Man Noir #1.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the fact that our boy Spider-Man Noir did get killed in the most recent Spider-Geddon, here he is, all in his lovely darkness. This book is dark. Now, I don't mean dark as in, oh my God, everything is horrible, but dark in a noir kind of setting. It's lots of grays, dark blues and stuff like that. I really love the fact that his spider sense is like a bright neon red. So
it's pretty cool.
It stands out when he uses
I took a flip
it.
through and saw some of those Juan Ferreira pages, and they're gorgeous. I love his work. He did a great Suicide Squad run. He did an awesome Moon Knight one-off story. I always love seeing him getting good work. Yeah,
this book is beautifully put together. I don't want to say drawn because it almost feels like it was painted.
Yeah.
And just the color palette that they use. I mean, you would think that something like this would get a little, it would wear you down when you're seeing something as monochromatic as this. But the way it's just put together is like, wow, I just can't get enough of this book. And also I can't get enough of the fact that they stick very true to the dialogue and slang of the day, calling broads, and dames, and this guy got bumped and all this other stuff. And it's like, this is kind of cool. It's like, I he used some other colloquialisms during the way he's talking to people. And it definitely sounds like something I would probably see in a Jack Spade murder mystery or something like that.
But the important question is, did you read it in the Cage voice?
Of course I did.
We don't pick the ballroom, we just dance.
Exactly. And that's what it felt like to me, except when he took his mask off. I think he's Peter Parker. He lost the voice immediately for me.
Sad.
And I went right back to, Tom
Holland.
Yeah, that guy. Whoever that guy is.
They should give Noir the Cage Widow's Peak of Doom. Just that powerful bird hairline.
It really comes down to it. He was a little young looking, but when he put the mask on, it was like, okay, Nick is back in the house. In this book, Aunt May knows he's Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And we call it MJ is apparently part of, I guess, some kind of army or auxiliary. From what I'm gathering, she's wearing a military type uniform with a chevron on her shoulder.
Good for her.
And the story basically follows the murder of a waitress that Peter knew, who turns out to be the twin sister of this archaeologist. The type of archaeologist that she is a Byzantinist, which just so happens our boy Peter Parker is a Byzantinist. So he gets all wrapped up in that whole murder mystery because the waitress had apparently a scarab kind of necklace wrapped in her mitts. Another use of the old colloquialisms that they were doing. She had her mitts when she got bumped. I love you, Nick Cage. Anyway, so he finds out this thing is priceless, and he doesn't really want to get wrapped up in the whole thing. But as the mystery draws him deeper, and May reminds him, with power comes great responsibility. He goes, quit reminding me of that. I know. So he decides that he's going to go and accompany this, the twin sister of this murdered woman, in an effort to try to not only solve this mystery, but find out what's going on with this piece and how it wraps up into this. So that's where we end off with issue number 1.
Well, cool. And this is what, a 5-6 issue mini?
I think it's a 5 issue. He does get a bit of a fisticuffs. He does use his pistols, but he doesn't use it to kill people. I noticed that when he jumped on top of what appears to be like a late Model T Ford and uses his pistols basically to blow out their windshield, but then uses his webs to start working them over like a speed bag. Yeah. So, besides the fact that when he takes his mask off, it is a little jarring. It's like we're talking two completely different characters, because you got Spider-Man, who is Spider-Man in the way that Nick Cage is Spider-Man, very dismissive, doesn't want to get wrapped up in stuff that isn't part of his 5 boroughs.
He's a noir detective.
Yeah, because I got the 5 boroughs to cover. I ain't got time for this. But the minute the mask comes off, it's like 2 completely different characters. You're dealing with Peter Parker wearing a hat and none of that edge. All the edge is gone. And I don't know if that was intentional, but that's what I got from it.
Okay. Well, our last book for today is Marauders number 9, our lone X book we're covering by Jerry Dugan and Matteo Lolli, as always. Really fun little issue.
Yes.
I like how they dealt with the Yellow Jacket problem.
And this was issue number 9. I swear to God, halfway through this book.
Hey. We got it. The PYRO death count. We did it.
Okay, so
he's finally dead.
Halfway through this book, halfway through this damn book, you the reader are not supposed to know this, but it happens basically that Yellow Jacket thinks he's found out. Because they go, crap, I've been made. Enlarge. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get my dollar. As you may or may not have known, I made a bet with a gentleman's bet with Gideon Gonzalez here, that due to the fact that Pyro's got a ridiculous face mask tattoo on him, he's not long for this world. And I swear that he will be dead by issue 9.
But
so
I don't know, man. Now I'm trying to remember. Was it
halfway through the book? And we're gonna put it up here.
Yeah. Okay.
When Yellow Jacket enlarge, he blows up his head. I'm like, yes, just in time.
Yes. And congratulations, Slytherin.
However, it turns out that this was basically just some head hodgepodge from Emma Frost, and my boy Pyro is apparently still alive in one piece, and there goes my goddamn dollar.
The Pyro Deathwatch continues. But
all I've got is a $5 on me. Got change?
Cool. Actually, I do.
Oh, give me that change. We're doing this.
Alrighty.
Because you know what the funny thing is? As I was getting in my car to come down here to the studio, I found this $5 bill on the ground.
Wow. It's like God knew you were going to lose a bet today. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, nice. I knew buying everyone at work Shamrock shakes would pay off.
Well, you just got somebody else's money, so I guess that works out for me too.
Did all worked out.
God damn you, Pyro.
But yeah, Pyro shows that he's not afraid to burn some kids, at least mentally, because Emma Frost uses her psychic powers to project her and Pyro into the Hellfire Kids' lair and make them experience being burned alive.
Oh, they felt the pain of it.
They know not to mess with the mutants no more.
That's an interesting way of going about that. You really can't screw with somebody. It's like, hey, you're going to feel this.
Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs?
Yes. You kids are playing a game that we've perfected long before you were born. You need to shuffle off.
And we end with the reveal that Lockheed is not only alive, but he's coming back.
Yeah, it seems like that was an inner dialogue that was going on with the banners. And it's like, okay, it's time for him to go get his woman because
he's got to go save Kate.
Exactly.
We'll see.
And we do recover Kate's body in this episode.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw the cover number 11, but it's a Kate funeral. So
yeah, we're still not able because during the part they actually are actively trying to bring back Kate using the process, but it's failing. So like, oh God, how is this going to resolve itself?
I can't believe my boy egg would fail me like this.
Yeah, I know. They're all sitting around looking at this egg going, it's not viable. It's not going to happen.
We'll get, I'm sure Kate's resurrection is going to have some, I feel like they're going to be able to resurrect her, but we're going to have some Emma machinations of not letting other people know so we can have secret agent Kate.
Yeah. And when this all happens, that it's going to come to a head for our good boy, Sebastian Shaw.
Oh man. Can't wait for the foot to drop on that guy.
I'm just saying that I think that my man is going to have a cellmate pretty soon. How do you like it down here in a pit with me? Oh, God, that would suck.
The whole population, two.
Yeah. And one of them just happens to be, a ravenous animal that murders people for fun.
And Sabretooth. And so I think we're going to go to our break before we have our fun little multimedia news. So
yeah, indeed.
See you guys in a few after these messages.
Hey there, we have made it to episode 26 of Hazardous Materials, last week's comics this week. This is Brooke with Haphazard Fiction, and welcome to the show. Hope everybody's having a great time out there. Casey and Gideon are definitely dropping some of their comic book insight on you. If you have anything you would like to add to that, you can drop it in the comments below. Send us some messages through our social media. We would absolutely adore the opportunity to hear from you. That's the only way that we're going to be able to improve the Hazardous Materials experience, and we want to make you a part of that. So please hit us up with any of your own comic book insights, questions, comments, improvements, anything you guys would like to hear. We're here for you. And as nobody over here at Haphazard Fiction has come down with the coronavirus, we may or may not be the cure. So recommend you keep on listening. So for now, I give you your newest dose of Hazardous Materials.
And we are back. We've not a whole lot of news this week, but there's some pretty fun bits. Casey actually brought this one to my attention about a certain villain that we enjoy maybe being in Falcon Winter Soldier?
I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, but I've definitely talked about this when we're off camera about the possibility of Thunderbolts popping up.
T-Bolts, all about that.
The rumor, and I hate doing rumors on this one, but this is so damn juicy, I really can't get away from it, is the fact that the Thunderbolts are possibly being introduced in Black Widow and then shoehorn right into Falcon and Winter Soldier where they get, boom, their big thing.
That'd be very nice.
So, this was posted up recently. It's a video wherein our boy U.S. Agent, which I think he's calling himself Captain America because that's what the government is calling him.
Yeah, like in the original
Mark
Greenwald story.
He drives up in a van, and the van is then besieged by a group of masked, costumed women.
Would you say that they're grapplers?
I would say that they are indeed grapplers. So that's what basically we're doing here is I think that the series is taking advantage of these B and C list villains that Captain America has had because I mean for sure Baytruck the Leaper is going to be in this.
Oh, George St. Pierre coming back?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
And the funny thing is when I was actually listening to the guy that was actually reporting about this, he kept referring to him as Baytruck the Leper. I was like, dude, there's an A in there.
Zeliper.
He's not a leper. Oh, you Philistine. So a lot of people are saying that there's a particular woman in this particular group, and she has long, bright red hair. And a lot of people on the set are referring to as Screaming Mimi, which if you know your Thunderbolts routine, she becomes a Thunderbolt known as Songbird.
Who is awesome and great.
Who is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
So this is the Thunderbolts theory is really gaining ground.
Oh boy, I'm hoping so.
Oh God, that'd be so cool. And the fact that they're not just settling for the villains that they've already got, they're alive like Ghost and Zemo and Hammer and all of those others. They're really going for the core, which is the core of Thunderbolts as they are is Citizen V, Songbird, Atlas, Techno, Meteorite, and later on Jolt.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they are, in fact, really Screaming Mimi, Moonstone, what do you call it? Goliath, Baron Zemo, and the Fixer.
And you forgot the Beetle.
And the Beetle,
Mach
Mach 1. He calls himself Mach 1 when he first appears, but then as he keeps making his armor, it's like, I'm Mach 4 now.
I think
I'm
he's
Mach
on
5 now.
I think he's on the Mach 5 or 6.
He's on 10.
Oh, woo. Way to go, Mach.
Yeah, in the most recent Thunderbolts, he calls himself Mach 10 or Mach X. And the hero clicks that they recently released of him, it's Mach 10.
Good for him.
So I'm thinking they're probably going to just stay there because now it's getting ridiculous.
Too fast.
It's too fast.
This buggy boy flew too close to the sun.
The closer we get to the core Thunderbolts team, the happier I am. And so far, we've already got Zemo and we've already got Songbird. And I'm wondering if maybe Hulk villain Moonstone is going to show up in this.
Maybe. I mean, hell, she'd be a great villain for Captain Marvel, too.
Yeah. Oh, God, yes. Very much so. So, we're trying to get some images of this that we can maybe put up.
Secret images.
It has been kind of going around the blogosphere of rumors on this one. And also some really great images of our boy U.S. Agent and how his fighting style is a little brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's beating the crap out of his people.
Wyatt's going to town on these fools.
Yes.
Next up on our list, though, a little more low-key news, but Neil Gaiman is going to be doing a Sandman audio drama for Audible, an strict adaptation of the books. He confirmed that like all the DC characters that are in those first couple volumes of Sandman will be present. I mean, who doesn't love hearing Neil Gaiman's calming voice tell you about the importance of stories?
I feel like we're going from the high edge infotainment, whatever you call it, of MCU and beating the crap out of people to art house. NPR comics.
Don't you love
with Neil Gaiman as Sandman?
Don't you like to dream? Sometimes dreaming's fun.
Don't you like to see what Earl T actually looks like in space? Or some shit like that.
The devil's here. Lucifer's an okay bloke.
Yes. Oh, God.
My Neil Gaiman's terrible. I apologize.
That's okay, because the minute you said the devil, I immediately went to our own Wilson Mephisto.
Wow.
I will not get sick of that ever.
So what we need to do is set up the TV's Lucifer with Owen Wilson's Mephisto for the ultimate intercompany crossover.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I even brought this up or not, but the main character that plays Lucifer, whose name eludes me right now, has signed on the dotted line for season 6 of Lucifer, which came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'm still shocked that they've wrung 6 seasons out of that concept of the devil helps cops. But
and they were going to end everything on season 5. They was like, okay, season 5, this is done. Even Netflix says this is the final season. We're done. And then we'll have seasons.
Crisis, baby.
Well, season 6. Yeah, Crisis. That's actually probably where this all came from, because as soon as that hit, it was like, oh my God, Lucifer is in Crisis for all of 10 seconds. And it's the most exciting thing we've seen all week.
People like this devil fella.
Yeah, I even got goosebumps from it. Ooh. Goosies. So that's happening. But yeah, Neil Gaiman narrating Sandman is actually really cool. As much as they want to downplay the NPR level of it.
Yeah.
That's actually
it's
pretty cool.
Dope. Yeah. I want to see how they adapt it.
Yeah.
Or I should say, I want to hear how they adapt it.
Ooh, I like what you did with that.
And
maybe we'll meet for tea and listen to Neil Gaiman together.
Ooh, fancy. Have a book club. I mean, this show is basically a book club. Let's be real.
We really are. We're a 2-man book club. Like 4 more people in here listen to Neil Gaiman.
There's I'll hit you with some tonal whiplash. We probably should have organized these a bit better. But
yeah, now we're going right back into it.
How about that Batmobile though?
Boom! Look at this freaking car, for God's sakes. Look at this car.
It's so cool.
This car is badass, and it's not like, you know, that
car looks
that
like
Destructo machine that Christian Bale was in, but this thing is sleek.
It's gonna punch me in the face. It's
gonna punch me in the face, take my lunch money, and walk off with my girl. This thing is awesome.
It looks so I'm a big proponent of the Batmobile actually looking like a car. Like, I love the Tumbler, love the thing that Ben Affleck was driving around, but I mean,
but that's a vast departure from getting in a righteous car and doing your bat thing.
I'm a Batman 66 guy. I say that all the time on here. So for me, the Batmobile should look like a sick as hell convertible with some red piping.
Mm-hmm. Maybe some scary angles.
Exactly. Turbines to power.
Was it fans of speed?
It's not a real Batmobile unless you have a bat turn emergency lever, which shoots out a little parachute so you can just like whip a Yui really quick.
Like the cable that happened in the second Batman Returns. Yeah, I love that bit.
Which the Battinson Batmobile better be able to do some sick turns.
Yeah.
That thing looks cool as hell. I love it.
Is. I like the lighting that they did on this back end. It's a rear engine. Ooh, it's very European.
Yeah. This is one car that Batman won't be able to go, this isn't a car.
So now that we're talking, we're going to get a little auto nerd. Since we're talking as a rear engine vehicle, what's he going to put up in the front? Weapons.
My first thought was probably guns, but I was like, now maybe we can move away from Batman having guns plastered all over his vehicle.
Yeah, no more chain guns.
I suggest that he has the classic turtle van pizza launcher, like shoots some manhole covers out the front. I think it's the best weapon any vehicle.
I want like a weapon that just shoots bolas, like tons of bolas everywhere.
I gotta tie that car up.
Yes. I want man bolas and I want automobile bolas. I want to need Bola Town.
Just like, I know this probably is going to be a very toyetic movie, but I want a Batmobile toy that shoots out big old batarangs from the hood.
Yeah, I want it like clusters.
Say what you will about the turtle van. One of the best toys ever designed in my book.
Oh, you and that turtle van.
I lost my mind in the second Michael Bay TMNT movie, which is good actually. That movie rules, coming out of the shadows. The opening sequence, they have the turtle van and it does all the stuff the toy does. Like,
you big nerd.
It shoots out. They shoot out manhole covers. They flip out the side door. It's awesome.
Oh. Now you got me thinking about the suicide door and the launch chair for the Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah.
God,
the best part of the Ghostbusters trailer.
Yes, it really was. Oh my God.
How to win the Gideon Gonzalez opinion is just put toys in it.
Yes. And that's all I can think of is now it's like, I want an Ecto whatever number they're going to give this Rust Bucket.
That Lex Luthor action figure they had on an episode of Supergirl a couple weeks ago. I want it. I need it. Give it to me, McFarlane.
McFarlane did back out of something recently.
They're not doing Build-A-Vehicles anymore.
They're also backing out the Star Trek license.
Which, I mean, they only did 2 Star Trek figures. And they were good. Like, they're decent 7-inch scale figures, but they just did Kirk and Picard.
I was watching another channel called Midnight's Edge, which I gotta say, most of their stuff is they do a lot of naysaying on popular science fiction stuff, but they do try to mix in facts with what they're naysaying. And they did mention the fact that McFarlane was given the Discovery license and he said no to it.
The Toddster at it again. Like, it's actually, I've actually been thinking about this lately. It drives me crazy. There's not a good like 6-inch scale Star Trek toy line. Yeah. Like McFarlane made those 2. Mezco, which is one of my favorite toy companies, they only produced Kirk, Spock, Mirror Spock, and Sulu. Well, yeah, and
it goes back to the thing, and I did a little bit of paying attention, I guess, to the Star Trek license and where the money really comes from. Isn't so much the movies. The movies don't really make that much money. All of their stuff comes from licensing.
Sell them T-shirts.
All the dollars come from licensing, and a lot of them comes from toys. Apparently, there are collectors out there that suck up these toys like crazy.
See, which is insane because there wasn't that many Star Trek toys for the last couple of movies.
And that they were talking about the fact that, no, I guess something about the numbers involved in Discovery and even most recently Picard are unattractive to licensees. And I don't want to.
I mean, they're adult focused shows. Like,
I don't want to add.
Picard got cussing.
Yeah, they do. They drop in the F-bomb more than we do.
And some PG-13 sex scenes, I hear.
Yeah,
still haven't watched Picard yet. Still on my Star Trek.
Oh my God. I just watched episode 7 and that's the one where Riker's in it. And I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. I wish I could tell you about Riker. So many things to tell you about Riker.
I love Jonathan Frakes. I'm to the point I'm almost considering going to a convention just to meet Jonathan Frakes.
I met Jonathan Frakes. He is such a cool cat.
Pretty cool. I overheard Jonathan Frakes in a conversation once.
Oh, did you?
I don't know. I always feel weird about paying to meet celebrities, but I do like organically eavesdropping on celebrities.
Yes. You know what?
Not weird at all.
You know what the strange thing is? Jonathan Frakes acts and talks like Will Riker.
That makes sense.
And it's so cool.
Does he, if I ever was doing a photo op, I'd totally ask him to do the little Captain Morgan pose that Riker always has to do.
Oh, yeah, the Riker pose?
He's too damn tall to fit in the frame.
I think one of the biggest brain-melting moments of my entire Trek fandom was discovering the fact that Jonathan Frakes bounds over every chair he sits in. He never just walks over and sits. He basically throws his leg over it like a goddamn dinosaur.
That's a power flex right there.
It is a power flex. And you find out it's because he's got a back thing.
Oh.
So he can't sit in a chair normally. So every chair he's walking towards has to be low enough for him to throw his tail over it.
My man's a champion.
And then I saw videos like every time Riker sits down, whoop, whoop. The leg just goes right over
That's
it.
so good.
And he's just so smooth about it. You don't even see him do it.
You've heard of the Picard maneuver. Now get ready for the Riker maneuver.
The Riker leg.
And we've got one more tiny bit after our massive Star Trek tangent.
Yeah,
Always
because
fun.
apparently the people that were also taking pictures of Falcon and Winter Soldier and taking video of it, might add, also got a hold of Loki and his filming. And from what we can gather, and of course, we're steering away from rumors and just going by the images that we've seen. The first image that we saw was in Disney's reveal where they showcase that Loki is in prison garb. Now, the thing he's got in his prison garb is the Time Variance Authority label.
Mm-hmm.
So he's clearly, Loki has been grabbed by Marvel's Time Cops.
Time Cop.
And I mean, of all the things going on after the end game that would really mess with time, that is still out there wondering, is Loki.
He took that cosmic cube and he bounced.
Yeah. And of course, that's also a MacGuffin for how Marvel would fix any kind of time problems because they've got their own people. Now, the Time Variance Authority is something that popped up in She-Hulk, actually, a few years ago.
Yeah, during the slot run, I think.
Yeah, the most recent one.
Yeah.
Where she was having to defend somebody from them because apparently they really don't like it when you mess with the timelines.
There was, in Slot's run, this was about probably over a decade ago at this point, where I think she herself was on trial because they were like, "Oh, you're kind of a big old continuity blur with all of this fourth wall breaking. Can you still do that?" Nope.
Yeah, exactly. So they bring all the different variants of She-Hulk that writers have made. You got serious She-Hulk, you got comedy She-Hulk, you got John Byrne She-Hulk, you got fourth wall destroying She-Hulk.
I like, and there's a whole bit where she brings on as character witnesses like the Wasp. She brings in Wyatt Wingfoot. And just like if characters like, She-Hulk's really important to the Marvel universe, and you can't really pick her out of it without ruining it.
Or how about that one time when you slept with the Juggernaut? That didn't happen.
It was a cosmic tourist.
It was a cosmic tourist that looks like She-Hulk.
Yeah. Chuck Austin's X-Men run, not canon.
Yeah. I went back and actually read a Chuck Austin book. It was 440. It was the one that we like talking about the most, in which where Angel makes sweet, sweet love to Husk above her parents. Yeah. That book. God, that whole thing was really a train wreck.
It really is.
It really was. I mean, just beyond that.
Like, I can.
It was also the issue where Icarus got killed.
Yeah. It's bad comics.
It really was.
It's not even the worst issue of that run. Jesus. Oh,
no, but it was up there.
The Draco.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely up there. Because that was when they just like, you know what? Here's this Icarus character that was been in this new X-Men run. Let's kill him.
Yeah.
Let's kill him in such a fashion where we're like, is he dead? Is he dead? Okay, he's dead.
I try to avoid going like too hard on poo-pooing books and creators, but my God, Chuck Austin's X-Men, it's worst.
Bringing it full circle back to our Loki thing, these new images that we're talking about right now, it does appear that Loki has gone from being a prisoner to working with the time variance.
Are you telling me we some kind of suicide time variance?
Yeah, he's got his jacket on. It's in the rain. He's got a tie on. I think he's like a detective or something, and this is like a detective show.
Can't believe Marvel's ripping off of DC's popular devil helping the cop show Lucifer.
I think that's where this is going.
Asgardian devil helping out the time cops.
Oh, because I mean,
see you, Marvel TV.
We do have to reform this Loki. I mean, we had the cool Loki that reformed over his character development in Thor. He's gone. We've got evil Loki, and we've got a TV show. It's got to try to bring him back into that level of he may not be a bastard. Because of course they're going on the idea that evil Loki in the first Avengers was influenced by his staff.
Oh. There's that. I wonder actually if maybe not to bring back Loki in full, but if this is a way to explain Loki's very quick hero development he had over those movies.
Maybe. I mean, Loki always kind of had that in the comics. Where it's like, do we have good Loki today or we have bad Loki today?
You give me a Jack Kirby angry troll face Loki.
That man, back then, Loki was just one color, and that was like, I'm always doing machinations. Loki, what are you doing over there?
That's
nothing.
That gnarled Maximus the badass face.
Yes, and he always had that skull cap, so he didn't even know what color his hair was.
And it was the Kirby cackles.
Yeah, the Kirby cackles, those giant freaking horns.
As God intended.
Oh, Brooke, that's your favorite Loki, isn't it? Yeah, it is.
I like my Asgardians with big hats. The bigger, the better.
Yeah, gigantic hats for no reason on all the time.
Balder and his big old flat horns that are like that wide. It's great.
It seems like Sifka is the only one that got out of this with any level of.
She had pretty good hat.
No, she had that little headband with the little flails.
They go big though. They go big. Those fins go back.
They're a little big. They're a little big.
When Walt Simonson's drawing them, they go hard.
Nothing is as bigger as Balder's freaking headpiece.
Yeah.
Jesus God, how do you balance that?
Walt
thing?
Simonson and hats, just the best duo. Let's say, find someone who loves you as much as Walt Simonson loves hats.
We have kind of divorced Thor from his hat in his comic era, his cosmic era.
Well, I mean, you know why that is, because movie stars don't want to wear hats.
Or because he's so powerful he doesn't need a helmet anymore.
I think it's because Chris Hemsworth doesn't want to wear that dumb hat.
No, I'm talking about the Herald comics, the ones where we've been reviewing.
No, I'm talking about just the general trend of the past decade. Yeah,
that's true. We don't, because he's got a good head of hair.
Thor wore that hat for all of like 5 seconds in the first Thor movie. Yeah, he really
did. I mean, that thing looks heavy.
It does.
And can you imagine having to actually do stunts in that heavy ass thing?
Not fun.
No thing. No, I can understand why you want to get rid of it.
It makes him safer though.
It does. We got to protect the Helmsworth skull because he brings the comedy.
You do. You do. I don't think anybody could do Thor like he did. No. What a glow up from Thor 2 to Thor Ragnarok.
Oh God, yeah.
Have you ever seen a franchise make such a turn for the better?
It really did. It's like, hey, it's Thor. It's like, okay, it's Thor. It's Thor Dark World. It's Thor Ragnarok. Holy crap, look how good this got.
What an arc. Powerful stuff. I
actually have a friend of mine on Facebook who considers Thor Ragnarok the worst of the Thor movies. And of course, this goon also thinks that Dark World's the best. And I was like, okay, you're already discredited. You're out of here.
I was going to say, I know people who weren't crazy about Ragnarok. I can see that. But then you said Dark World's the best. And I was like, hold the phone. What? I skipped that movie in my Marvel movie rewatch. Morally, I was like, let's watch Dark World. But, I couldn't make myself do it in my heart of hearts.
I watched Dark World, but I swear it was like the one Marvel movie that I outright just snoozed through.
Yeah.
And I do snooze through my fair share of movies. I do. Mm-hmm. That's just the way I am. If it's kind of a gray sounding action and I'm watching it and I'm even slightly tired, I'm like, okay, I'm out. Dark World did that to me.
And speaking of getting out, I think that's going to wrap us up for today.
Are you sure? Because I have so many other things we could talk about. No, I don't. This really does wrap it up.
It was a light news week.
Yeah. So I guess we're going to have to pitch our stuff because we are on the various social medias.
It's true. Follow us on the Twitters.
We are doing the Twitter. We're also doing the Gram.
Mm-hmm. We're on that Gram life.
We're on the Patreon because God help us, support us, please. And I've got my own stuff on facebook.com/mycomicbookfacts where I talk about comic book stuff you may not know about. And I think that pretty much wraps it up for us.
Yeah. See you guys next week.
Hey, see ya.